There are some lines that even a supervillain won't cross, one of which is cannibalism. It's just not something that people do, and yet sometimes supervillains get desperate enough to find cannibals and turn them into soldiers. But they might be soldiers that they can't quite control. His name was Reek, and he was the strongest of the flesh eaters. Every day, the strongest young flesh eater went to challenge Reek, and every day, Reek loomed over him with his green fur and giant frame. The small creatures sometimes were almost as tall as him, but none were as big as him. None were as smart as him. Reek roared a giant roar as the young creature tried to beat into his chest over and over, trying to break his skin, and yet none of them could break Reek's skin. And as the young whelps became exhausted, they looked up at Reek's giant eyes. They pleaded with him not to do the same to them that he did to all the rest of them. But Reek simply looked at them in the eyes and told them to accept their fate. Reek killed them and ate their heart in front of the entire tribe. It was the only way the flesh eaters knew how to be. And yet one day, their cave was invaded by an outsider, a man with pink skin, looking at Reek right in the eyes. He put out a piece of technology right up to Reek's ear, and Reek accepted it, looking at him strangely. Surely this was his first attack, and the night would end with Reek eating his flesh. But he heard the man speaking in his ear, speaking his language. That was so strange, the way this technology made them speak. "Hello," the bald man said. "It's my understanding that you are the strongest flesh eater." Reek was flattered. Direct compliments were rare in his culture, and he smiled, pleased. "Yes," Reek said, "it is I. I have a business proposition for you," the bald man said. "I have a couple of problems. Very powerful warriors, you would say. Powerful warriors that if you beat them, you can eat their hearts, and eating their hearts will make you have their strength. Isn't that right?" Reek nodded. "In our culture, once you eat someone's heart, it means you have their soul essence inside you. The stronger the warrior, the stronger I become." "Excellent," the bald villain said. "So I need to take you out of your domain for a bit, and we're going to go to this place called Earth. And on Earth, you're going to fight the warriors, and I..." No, Reek said. "In order to get me to do what you say, you need to become chief." "Chief," the bald supervillain said. "Does that mean I have to eat my heart?" Reek said, completely unironically. "You have to eat my heart in front of everybody, and then you can guide the tribe." "Okay, but you're the strongest and I need your help. What am I supposed to..." "Do not question the ways of the flesh eater," Reek said. "Please." "Okay, what if I defeat you in battle," the bald villain said, "and then I don't eat your heart?" "Why would you do that?" Reek said. "Because I need your help," the bald man said. In this hypothetical reality where I lose a fight," Reek said, "then yes, I will do what you say." "Fine." He pressed a button. Reek's body arced with electricity. He was shocked with enough pain to kill 1,000 warriors, and he fell to the ground, smoking. He was shocked with the very device that the villain was using to speak with him. Reek looked up at him. "A trick." "Can you stand?" the villain said, looking at him in the eyes. "No," Reek said. He couldn't even get to his knees. The electricity was too powerful. "Fantastic." He put his hands out. "My name's Handshake Man. You're working for me now." Reek didn't understand the instructions, but when he shook Handshake Man's hand, he suddenly was filled with the desire to do what the bald man wanted him to do. "You should be under my spell now." "Okay, kill all your friends," Handshake Man said. And Reek couldn't even stop himself. He jumped onto the young men in his tribe, men that he was supposed to fight in loyal combat, and he murdered them with his bare hands, using his super strength to rip them apart. He didn't even eat their hearts. He felt their soul essences leave the room, and he was terrified. He ripped into the women and children of his tribe, an ultimate sacrilege, and he didn't even eat their flesh either. He left their corpses in the middle of the cave. When the killing was done, Handshake Man looked at his watch. "All right, let's go." Reek followed him out of the cave, into the realm of the surface dwellers. It was so strange to see people with the man's pink skin. He wanted to challenge them to single combat, but Handshake Man shook his head. No, the warriors we're looking for are different. They should show up any time now," Handshake Man said. As they walked through the city streets out into a clearing, Handshake Man sat, waiting. "You made me kill my tribe," Reek said to Handshake Man. "Yep," Handshake Man said. "Kinda how it works. Only the strong survive, right?" Reek struggled to deal with his feelings. Handshake Man had defeated him in single combat, and yet violated every single law of killing the innocent. This was not the way, and yet Handshake Man was his chief. He felt at the edges of his mind an ability to combat Handshake Man, an ability to fight him again. Perhaps this was the reason why at the end of every combat trial, Reek ate the hearts of his opponents. Because if you let your opponents live, they could always come back for revenge. A superhero flew down from the sky and landed in front of Reek and Handshake Man. That's the first warrior, Handshake Man said. Go after him. Reek loomed high above the superhero. He looked down at him. He had a red cape and blue costume, and the superhero pointed up at Reek. Go back down from whence you came, the superhero said. I'm warning you this one time. Go back. Reek tried to fight against Handshake Man's control. He didn't want to fight anymore, and yet he felt himself putting his hands up, ready to fight. The superhero flew up high above and punched Reek in the face. Reek flew across the clearing and hit a tree as hard as he could. The superhero turned towards Handshake Man. He grabbed Handshake Man by the shoulders. You're going to prison. He flew into the sky, and yet Reek jumped as high as he could, grabbing the superhero by the ankle and smashing him down onto the ground. The superhero cried out in pain, and Handshake Man looked down at his broken hands, screaming at Reek. You're supposed to protect me, idiot, Handshake Man said. Reek turned around. Sorry, he said. The superhero cried out in pain. He put his hands up trying to fight back, and yet Reek smashed down with his arms over and over and over again, staining the clearing full of blood. Good, Handshake Man said. Reek stood, hands covered in blood, standing over the superhero. Wow, Handshake Man said. I've really got to hand it to you. I mean, that guy's been a thorn in my side for quite the time, and all it took was a little handshake. Reek thought about all of his ancestors, how disappointed they would be that he didn't eat the heart of the superhero. He thought about this strange place full of people with pink skin, and he realized, screw the rules. He didn't want to follow what Handshake Man said. He felt the spell waning, the thing making him do whatever Handshake Man said. It only worked on men, but Reek was a flesh eater. He pulsed, thinking as hard as he could, fighting against it. He turned to Handshake Man. Hey, Handshake Man said. Your rules. I beat you in a fight. Reek roared. He smashed down with both of his hands towards Handshake Man, and Handshake Man jumped out of the way. He smashed into Handshake Man's legs. Handshake Man crawled across the clearing, away from Reek. I won your battle, Handshake Man said. I am the strongest warrior. This isn't fair. Reek smiled, a big smile at Handshake Man. No eat flesh, Reek said. Flesh eater rule no matter anymore. Goodbye. Handshake Man screamed out in pain. He put his hands up, but Reek smashed into Handshake Man's chest, leaving him in the middle of the clearing. Reek walked into the forest. He had no home anymore, no flesh eaters to go back to. The only person remaining that controlled his customs was him, and yet the sun started to set, casting long shadows throughout the woods. Reek looked out, seeing the sunset for the first time in his entire life. The sun was the color of blood. He wept for his lost people, wept for Handshake Man, for all the people that he had killed. All of his customs, all of his traditions, they would die if he died. Reek grit his teeth. He would not die. He would fight. He would win. He would keep the tradition of the flesh eaters alive.